Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cover 4 podcast. And it's OU Texas week for Randy Gibson. And fact, it's the only game of the for the four Big Four schools. Everybody else is off this week.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Texas were off last week to prepare for one another, and
Mm-hmm.
now they're the only ones playing, and it's going to be something to see, especially I think if you're a Texas fan.
Yeah, that's true. 14 and a half point favorite as far as the line is concerned. Uh, Texas comes into the ball game numero uno, thanks
Hmm.
to what happened in Nashville. We'll be talking
Yeah,
a little bit about both of the crowd storming games here in a little bit, but OU comes into the ball game off of the win at Auburn, and then the week off, Texas defeated Mississippi State at home at DKR. So, going to be interesting to see what happens.
you know,
2:30 kickoff.
Yep.
That's something that you and I have talked about for a while about
Yep.
2:30 kickoffs at the Cotton Bowl. At the end of the ball game, it kind of gets slightly unhealthy.
Yeah, especially if it comes down to the wire like it's done the last couple of years or so. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I've seen this is one of those games every year they say it doesn't matter. Point spreads don't matter. Records don't matter. Throw them all out the window. I've seen a John Blake team beat Texas that never should have beat Texas. I've seen a Charlie Strong team beat Oklahoma that never should have beat Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And after what we saw last weekend, you never know
Mm-hmm.
because who would have thought Vandy would have upset Alabama, which we'll talk about. And even in Fayetteville, there was a little surprise over there as well.
Yes, there
And
was.
there was some surprises in other parts of the country too. So you never know. Um, I did see where Ewers would not be starting the game. It would be Manning.
Okay, so 16 will start. So if I'm anybody that is wearing crimson and cream about the back end, I think I would get extremely nervous because there's a guy that used to play for Alabama now wearing burnt orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these two guys hook up, Manning and Isaiah Bond. Uh, it could be a long afternoon.
It could be. I'm hoping that keep it close. We've kind of talked off the air a little bit. As an OU fan, I'm more nervous about Manning than I was Ewers because Sooner
Mm-hmm.
defense, a lot of those guys on that defense, they've played against Ewers before. They kind of know his style and what he does. Manning's a whole new cat out of the bag.
Yeah, uh, even though you see film on him, uh, facing him live, that's a whole different ballgame.
Lot different, lot different. We kind of talked about, and I mentioned, I said, in my gut feeling, it's either going to be a complete blowout or it's going to be very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope it's very, very close. It could go
Yeah,
either way. We'll see.
you're talking that you may record the game and go down the hill because the Cougs are playing very, very well. They've got Arizona Wildcats coming to Lavelle Edwards this Saturday. And if you win that one, the team down the road in Salt Lake wins. Holy War comes up, and that could get interesting. And could you see possibility of game day in Salt Lake City?
Wouldn't that be fantastic? Something they've never experienced before. In fact, here in Provo, you'll see I'm wearing the Cougar shirt today, representing BYU in honor of them being 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a first little taste of being in a major conference and being 5-0, uh, Fox's Big Noon show was going to be in Provo on Saturday.
You might want to walk down there
I'm planning on it.
and check that out. And then if game day goes to Salt Lake next week, compare the
Mm-hmm.
two.
Mm-hmm.
And if game day does show up next week in Salt Lake City, there'll be a visitor, four legged, that you
Mm-hmm.
saw, but at
Mm-hmm.
the Tennessee game, but you might get an up close and personal with the chief happiness officer, meaning Ben
Yeah,
Ribstreet.
that's right. That's right. He was so fun to see in Norman. He walking around down on the field before the game. I had my binoculars up in the press box looking down at him, and he was right at the 50-yard line, making himself right at home.
He did that Saturday night in Fayetteville as
Did
well.
he?
Because, well, get this. I mean, uh, Kirk Friday flew to see his son play football, high school, from his home in uh, Columbus. Then flew from there to Berkeley and did game day, which that was show up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It was a 6 o'clock kickoff on the show from 6 to 9. Then Wheels Up, they take care of flying them and flew them from Berkeley to Fayetteville. Got to Fayetteville at 4, which was a 6:30 kick. And then after the game, they get the police escort back to XNA, and then they flew on home. So it was a long couple of days for Kirk
Well,
Herbstreit. In fact, he had uh, throw in Thursday night. He does the Thursday night games on Amazon Prime with Al Michaels.
well,
So
he's
it's
going to have.
72 hours.
I saw earlier today he's going to have another busy Saturday. I can't remember where game day is going to be Saturday. It's not in Dallas. It's
No,
somewhere else.
yeah.
But he and Ben and Chris Fowler are going to be the crew for Oklahoma, Texas.
Ooh, that's
So
going to be interesting. That'll be
they're
good.
gonna they're gonna have to end game day and get Wheels up to Love Field really quick for
Interesting.
that 2:30 kickoff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they can get it there,
Yeah.
and I can guarantee you that either Dallas Police Department or Texas State Police down there, they'll make dang sure they get there by 2:30.
Yeah, they will. They will.
Yep. So,
Yep.
like I say,
Love
only
Love
ball game
Field's not
this
that
year.
far away from the Cotton Bowl, so they'll get him there on time, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Uh, Offensively for OU, they're going to start the kid, and
Yeah.
the thing you and I have talked about off the air, he likes to fly a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but those guys in burnt orange and the white helmets, they may have a present for him. If they do, OU fans, they probably don't want to see Jackson Arnold back in there, but if they saw him in half, then uh, Arnold's back in the ball game.
He sure is, and there's not going to be a choice. Like we've talked about, Hawkins is fun because he adds that other dimension. He can run and he likes to run, but
Mm-hmm.
man, he takes some shots and he took some in the Auburn game
Yeah.
too. And then I've seen him do it at Tennessee, and I've seen him at the Tennessee game, and I've seen him do it at the Auburn game. He kind of does that Billy Sims flight, and he
Yeah.
loves to jump over, especially going
Mm-hmm.
into the end zone. And like you said, Jim, some of those Texas defenders, they're going to be watching that game film. They're going to be ready for it. And I'm sure
Oh,
there'll be one down low and one up high.
yep. Yep. So, like I say, 2:30 kickoff. That's a ABC game, so I'll be on Channel 8 here in this area, and then whatever the
Hmm.
ABC affiliate is out there in Provo.
And like you said, I think I'm going to record it. It's just going to be too tight of a game for me to watch and enjoy. So I think I'm going to walk down the hill and watch the Cougars take on the Arizona Wildcats and check the score throughout
Mm-hmm.
the day.
Yeah, and check on your friend Cosmo as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. Big Noon kickoff is going to get a taste of Cosmo, and that'll be kind of fun to
That will be.
see. And if game day comes to Salt Lake City, they'll get another taste of Cosmo.
Mhm.
The country will, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Cosmo is my favorite mascot. We've talked about that
Oh,
many
yeah.
times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things you need to either go to Salt Lake City and get into SLC, which is the airport, make the short drive to Provo and check the guy out
Hmm. For
because
sure.
you're not going to see him around here unless you go to Stillwater. But
No, Stillwater, but they're
uh,
coming here
they're
in a couple of
coming,
weeks.
and that's a Friday night special.
Yes, it is. And it's a night game in Provo.
Yep, and
Get
the
ready.
way that they're playing right now, and they're not playing very well. Uh, the people that wear orange and black going out there for the ball game, it might be good just to watch Cosmo at work than watch the ball game.
Yeah, I think Cosmo would be much more entertaining than what could be going on the field, honestly. The
Yeah.
way both teams are playing right now. Saturday for the Cougars is going to be a telltale sign. Arizona's playing pretty good. They beat, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see what they do come Saturday. But if BYU comes out with a win Saturday and you assume they're going to have a win the next week against OSU, like you said, they'll be 7-0 at that point going into Eccles up north.
Yeah.
And so that'll be a game that will
Mhm.
that should have the country watching at that point.
Speaking about OSU and Mike Gundy, well, his son Gunner played the Redmond Saturday because he
Hmm.
is in uh, Emporia. Uh, the Hornets beat the Redmond 48-14, but Gunner ran for three and threw for two
Wow.
in the win. And then Northeastern's home. Smart move by John Sizemore, the athletic director. They're playing uh, Lincoln out of Jefferson City, Missouri, the Blue Tigers, coming out of now the Great Lakes Valley Conference, no longer a member of the MIAA. Uh, they're coming to town, and smart move. Kickoff is at 6 o'clock.
Good for them.
So get on up there. Hopefully, we can bag a win, get the first one for Darren Cheverini and the Redmen. And like I say, they'll be home on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. See what happens. He'd be better if there gets to be a runaway. At least you could go up there and watch some live football, watching the Redmen against the Blue Tigers.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Be fun for sure.
Um, Speaking about high school,
Oh man, what about Tahlequah?
that was a little bit tight
Yeah.
Friday night, but the Tigers defeated the prior Tigers at homecoming. 31-30 was the final, and now they got to go to Collinsville to take on the Cardinals. And are the Cardinals down, or is that opponent in 2 weeks pretty darn good in Dell City? Dell City took Collinsville to the cleaners in the opening district game. Now, let's just see what the Collinsville Cardinals are up to because uh, they may be down this year. I don't know.
Yeah, while you're looking at that, just talk about that Tahlequah game. They needed that homecoming game really bad, and
Yes,
I guess
after
they got a
losing.
yeah, and they got a walk-off field goal at the very end to win the game, I heard.
4-2 is Collinsville.
Does that surprise you?
Well, whoops, hold it. That's not the right Collinsville. That's somewhere else. That's not the one I want. That's a that's a different Collinsville. Now let's try it. Uh, Says they're 4-1, so they have. That's their only loss is to Dell City. They beat Rogers 55-0. Then they had an open date. No, wait a minute. No, they played 5 games. Yeah, everybody's played 5. So they beat Oologah, they beat Edison, they beat Bartlesville, lost to Dell City, and then beat Rogers. And now I got Tahlequah on the slate. Let's just see what Dell City's got. Yeah, they're Dell City's 4-1, and they are 2-0 in the district because they beat Memorial. So they're playing the weak sisters right now. They got Hale. They'll beat, as we say, beat the Hale out of Hale this
Hmm.
week.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got Rogers. Then they play us, Claremore and Pryor to finish. So they are, as far as a Western team, they are better than expected because the West teams against the East is not hadn't been very good for the West side, but they might be better than expected. So the Tigers on the road to Collinsville, and then they come back home Thursday night game against Memorial next week, and then Sequoia they got a big win over Dewey. They beat the Bulldoggers 53-0. That was at home. They go to Milton Stadium Friday night to take on the Tulsa Central Braves. And then check that. That's a Thursday night game. So they're playing Thursday night this week. So they're going to play 2 straight Thursdays. Go to Central and then they go home. They're home teachers meeting week as they take on the Sperry Pirates. So 2 straight Thursdays, one against Central and then Sperry. Then Keys lost 28-6 to Colcord. They go up Highway 82 and they take on the Salina Wildcats in a must win game because they're already 0-2 in the district.
Really?
And they've only won one game this year. That was the opener against Gore, and they've lost 4 in a row. Lost to Stillwell by 1, lost to Sequoia, then Little Kansas and Colcord. They've got Salina, then the teachers meeting week game. They got the Chelsea Green Dragons coming out to Jerry Hood Field next Thursday night. Hulbert, they took another one on the chin, and got a feeling they've got some kids hurt because they lost to Panama 62-16 at home. They got to go to Picola. Then the Thursday night game with the Haskell Haymakers, and I saw them uh, Friday night at Warner, and Holbert might have a shot against them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my alma mater beat Haskell 55-7. It was 43-7 at half. So Riders might accidentally get them one next Thursday night. So, like I say, next week is teachers meeting week, so everybody, about 98% of the ball games are played Thursday night next week.
Hmm.
So, and then some of them are moving them because of the official shortage, so they could get a crew. Uh, some are playing on Thursday, and that way, some of these crews, like Scott Pettis' crew, they may have two games some weeks. Call a game on Thursday and then call a game on Friday. So it's something that people need to think about, especially with basketball just around the corner. The girls and the schools that don't have football, they're already practicing. They started the first of the month. So if you would like to become an official, uh, make some extra money on the side, uh, contact the OSSAA, take the test. It costs, I don't know what the cost is now for registering to be an official. Then you'll need to get a hold of referees call over in Oklahoma City and get your shirt, some pants, beltless pants, and then pick you out some black shoes. And you can make a little money, whether it be junior high games, JV games, varsities. Around here, a lot of them are using three-man crews. So be good to, you can run up and down the court, get some exercise, and call two games and make, say, 100 to 120 bucks.
Not
So
bad. Not
not
bad if
bad.
that's what you like to do.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Uh, one thing about ready to happen out your way tonight down at the Delta Center.
Yeah.
The team formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes, now the Utah Hockey Team, Hockey
Hmm.
Club.
They were on the news a while
They,
ago talking about
they
it.
will open tonight against the an original six team, the Chicago Blackhawks. Come to Salt Lake City to open up the season. It is opening night in the NHL, and the there was already an article about the concession prices that are going to be there. They have taken a book from Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, and a lot of clubs need to take a look at this. The uh, prices are not very high. I think popcorn was $3. Bottled water was either two or three. I mean, it wasn't astronomical like you see at a lot of places.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but getting into the building, that's a different story. Ticket prices, trying to, with just a few seats left, even up in the nosebleeds, I was seeing 105 up in the nosebleed section of the Delta Center, but still, you're in the building and you get to see NHL hockey for the first time.
Yeah. How
So,
fun. I've never been. I've been to uh minor league, but
yeah,
never
me too.
major league.
I've never been to an NHL game.
I haven't
Uh,
either.
it's from talking with Bruce Howard, who's the voice of TU. He said there is a huge difference between AA and AAA, which would be the East Coast Hockey League where Tulsa's at, and then the AHL, which is the AAA. Uh, that's the last step before getting to the big show. Um, That would be teams like in the AHL, the Hershey Bears, um, the Springfield Thunderbirds, which is the St. Louis Blues affiliate. Uh, Utah is still using Tucson as their AAA farm club. Uh, Tulsa, they're affiliated with the Anaheim Ducks. So if a guy gets called up, he goes from Tulsa to San Diego, and then from San Diego to Anaheim. So that's how the Oilers. In fact, right now they started their training camp yesterday, and their training camp now they got a Oilers. The owner he bought the old Macy's at the Tulsa Promenade, and
Uh-huh.
now the Wee Street Ice Center, and they're going to have an exhibition game against Wichita in the next week. Uh, there, they've got junior hockey team is going to be playing there. Uh, People can go and ice skate. They're also doing. Uh, you've seen this in the Olympics, curling. They're doing that
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
at the Wee Street Ice Center. It's at 41st and Yale. That's on the west side of the old promenade there in Tulsa. So if you're up in the area, you can go check that out. I haven't been by there. In fact, I haven't been on that side of town in quite some time. So, but anyway, uh, let's talk a little bit about the field storming that took
Yeah.
place.
Took place this weekend. A couple of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. So
Vanderbilt number one.
yeah, you
Uh,
expected that one for sure.
that was uh, a lot of people had it on social media. You know, they tore down the goalpost at First Bank Stadium there in Nashville, there on the West End, and paraded the goalpost down Broadway and went in front of uh, the world famous Ryman Auditorium, the eating places and honky tonks, uh, Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, uh, Friends in Low Places, which is Garth's place, Chiefs, which is Eric Church's place, all the way down to the Cumberland River, and that's where the goalpost got deposited.
Yep.
And so that cost uh, Vanderbilt $100,000. And when they divvy up the money for all the schools, that'll be after June 30th of next year. Uh, Vanderbilt, out of their 51 million that they get from the league, 100,000 of that will go to Alabama because it was a conference game. Arkansas, this was the second time they've done this. The first one was the court storming against Duke, and this one cost Hunter Yurachek in the athletic department 250,000 for the storm in the field. And the other thing was is that Greg Sankey was at the game Saturday.
Oh,
The
really? Was he really?
He was at the commish was there for the ball game Saturday night. So that's 250 that goes to Tennessee. The 100,000 that occurred for the Duke game because it was a non-conference that went to the league office and goes into the postgraduate scholarship fund. That's where the 100 grand went. So the next time Arkansas has anything done by the students and the fans, uh, the price tag's 500,000. So it goes 100,000, 250, 500,000 is how it goes. So for all you OU fans, uh, you think about taking a dose of stupid, uh, don't do it.
Yeah, just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't. There's been some talk on the OU boards about that. Will
Yeah,
OU fans storm the field at the Cotton Bowl? And already the people on the boards are saying, no, we don't need to do that.
yeah,
We're
yeah. They see
really,
what uh, the penalty is,
yeah.
and that would be 100,000 going to Texas.
It's whenever I was younger and you'd get excited, and I don't want to sound like an old fogey now, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. I get the excitement of the time, and you're young and you want to be down there. But really looking back at it now, it's a safety issue.
Right,
You
right.
know, the kids tearing down the goalpost. I've seen kids standing up on top of those goalposts when they've come down, and they're
Mhm.
not light.
Right. No, they're
you
not like,
know,
no, they're
and you could have a bunch of people really get hurt. I remember I was in Lawrence, Kansas several years ago when Kansas upset Oklahoma many,
Yep.
many years ago back in the 90s. And I remember seeing their goalposts going up to the top of the stadium, and they were about ready to throw it over the top of the stadium. And they had to come over the loudspeaker and say, hey, listen, there's people down there. Don't, you know, you're going
Don't
to
do
really
that.
hurt somebody. So they
Yep.
brought it down. And uh, I've seen the kids remember several years ago too at the Army Navy game. There was a
Yes.
bunch of Army kids, and the little railing gave way, and it hurt a lot of the cadets.
Yep. Uh,
So
the one thing they do at Arkansas is the goalpost. When they got a situation kind of like that, they fold the goalpost down,
that's good.
and they did that 2 years ago when uh, when they stormed the field against Texas.
Hmm.
But the biggest thing that Hunter did, is he gets the all three police and sheriff. Uh, you've got Fayetteville police there. Excuse me. You've got Washington County Sheriff. You've got the campus police and Arkansas State Police. All four entities are there. So he has them already over there, protecting the team uh, to get them out of there into the southeast corner where the opposing locker room's at.
Hmm.
So, um, but it was, it's something that, like I say, it's a safety issue, and I think they're going to really touch on that during the off week.
Well, Vanderbilt, they threw the goalpost into the Cumberland River. Well, then the fire department had to go dig it out,
Right. Yep.
you know.
Which they were. I think they were
Yeah.
ready for that.
Yeah.
Get it,
I
but
mean,
still.
and I get it,
Hmm.
but it's the players need to be able to exit the field. I saw in Arkansas there were some Tennessee players that had a hard time getting through. And in fact, one of the
So
Tennessee players kind of
push somebody. I saw
pushed
that.
one of the Arkansas fans. Yeah. And there's just some of that. The opposing players, they can get emotional, and,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
players are tough. They've been in a battle all game, and
Yep.
they're just not going to want to put up with something from somebody who was in the stands watching.
Yep. So, that's something that a lot of people need to think about. If you go to a OU game or an Arkansas game, don't get on the field because that costs the school some money.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
well,
Yeah. Yeah. I
OU
mean,
Texas this week.
yeah,
This
we'll
is
see what happens.
we'll see what happens. Like I say, uh, split down the middle of the 50-yard line. One side's in crimson and cream, the other one's in burnt orange. Uh, like I say, sounds like a team's going to be in Dallas
Hmm.
doing the ball game. Uh, won't have a chance if they're going to be cutting it close as far as getting them to the ball game. Uh, I don't think Ben will have a chance to be on the field.
I doubt it.
Uh, it'll be get there, get in the press box, and get on upstairs. They
I
won't even have a
imagine so.
chance to even talk with uh, Venables or Sark, either one, before the ball game. They'll
Probably not.
probably talk to them Friday, Zooming with them, where they
Hmm.
may go down. You know, the teams will get there Friday, like they always do.
Hmm.
Or they might fly down there Friday, talk to them, then Kirk will go to game day. Uh, Chris will stay there and be in Dallas, but Kirk will be the one that'll be flying to game day and then coming coming to Dallas. So, and then, like I say, next week it'll be uh, homecoming week for you.
Will be.
It's on the, as we call it, Craig Way and I call it, the dreaded 6 day advance. They
Hmm.
have selected the Auburn and Missouri game and the OU South Carolina game as the 6 day advance games. So if OU happens to lose, uh, I think it'll benefit you. It'll be 45 minutes.
45 minutes, but I'll sacrifice that 45 minutes for an Oklahoma win. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's if they lose, it'll be 11:45 kick, be on SEC Network. Otherwise, it'll be 11 o'clock on ESPN. So see what uh, see what transpires over the weekend after the games are over with. Then you'll see uh, what time the kickoff is.
Yep.
Uh, let's see now. You might have at least 2 cups of coffee ready for.
Gonna have to have a couple of extra cherry cokes for sure that morning, aren't I?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, they do serve brand X at OU.
Yeah.
Uh, Unlike at OSU, they do serve the right stuff. The big thing is that at OSU, just like they did at Arkansas, not only Dr. Pepper but Diet Dr. Pepper is served.
That's the real good stuff right there.
Yeah, I will agree with that. And at University of Tulsa, it's and at ORU, it's Pepsi products, so you get Dr. Pepper and Diet Dr. Pepper because there we own the Dr. Pepper franchise up there. We don't here because that's Love Bottling Company. So, but yeah, next week we'll talk about OU Texas, the upcoming ball games as everybody else comes off of the bye weeks. Um, OSU getting that dreaded Friday night game at BYU. Uh, that won't be a whiteout, will it? Again?
Probably. They haven't announced it yet, but I would be surprised if it isn't.
Okay. So whiteout and a night game at Provo. Tulsa's got to go to Philadelphia. They got to take on Temple. And then Arkansas has a 6 o'clock kickoff for the Golden Boot against LSU. That'll be an ESPN game. Uh, haven't had a football game yet. Maybe I get the game next week, hopefully, keeping fingers crossed. If not, I figure I won't get anything till a volleyball match there on the 30th.
Hmm.
So seems like the trucks, all these games are truck games. They bring in a production truck. So if they don't have somebody to do what I normally do, which is official stats, then they call me to go over. So we'll just have to find out. Hopefully, Monday afternoon, I see an email from the production people in Charlotte and head on over to Fayetteville, pick up the credential parking pass on Friday, and then drive back on Saturday.
That'd be fun. I hope you get it.
Yeah, hopefully we will. I'd like to get the rest of uh, the games that are coming up. So they still got 4 games left, and counting the LSU game. So, like I say, we'll just have to wait and see. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Cover 4 podcast, and we'll see if Tahlequah can go to 2-1 in the district against Collinsville and all the other teams, see how they do. And again, we'll talk about OU Texas as well. For my partner, Randy Gibson out in Provo, I'm Jim Trickett. We'll see you next week on the Cover 4 podcast.